Gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, a trip to the airport these days leaves Americans with embarrassing choices. Law-abiding citizens can bear it all through a peekaboo body scanner, or they can get groped in a pat-down search by a federal employee. Now that's a real choice. There is no evidence these new body scanners make us more secure. But there is evidence that former Homeland Security Chief Michael Chertoff made money hawking these full body scanners. The underwear bomber tried to blow up a plane over Detroit last Christmas. Shortly thereafter, Chertoff went on a media tour promoting the full body scanners. This former Homeland Security chief told everyone we had to have the body scanners at airports to be safe.
Makers of security devices and biometric technologies soared today in global trading. Here you can see ICX Technologies up 35%, L3 Communications up 1.5%, and OSI Systems rising as well. Here 10%, all rising as the push for full-body scanners at airports continues to gain momentum.
But there are a few things we could do to make things better. First, we could deploy the scanning machines that we currently are beginning to deploy in the U.S. that would give us the ability to see what someone has concealed underneath their clothing. That has been vigorously opposed by the ACLU and privacy advocates. The House of Representatives voted to prevent us from using it. But I think now there's been a very vivid lesson in the value of that machinery.
Okay, can I stop you there for a second? I know you've been an advocate of this technology for a long time.
Correct.
But just in the interest of full disclosure, I also want to point out in your current role as a security consultant, you are representing some of the companies who manufacture that technology, correct?
Absolutely correct, yeah.
Okay.
I'm really lucky to have been able to form a consulting firm with an outstanding group of partners. It has the maybe not terribly imaginative name of the Chertoff Group. But I'm delighted to have in my company, as my partners, Mike Hayden, the former director of the CIA, Paul Schneider, who a lot of you will know as my former deputy and former head of acquisition at the Navy and at NSA, Charlie Allen, who's legendary in the intelligence community, Jay Cohn, who ran our technology program as well as the Navy's program, and about half a dozen other very, very highly skilled people with deep background in intelligence, defense, and homeland security. So we're still doing the same work that we always did, but we're doing it from the private side. So we're still doing the same work that we always did, but we're doing it from the private side.
Michael Chertoff is now the Director of Homeland Security. Prior to his appointment as Director, he oversaw the Criminal Division of the Department of Justice till July of 2001. He is the man behind the investigation of 9/11, or lack of investigation, as it were. Chertoff was the U.S. prosecuting attorney for the District of New Jersey. Michael Chertoff is the person who had control of the evidence and prosecution of the first bombing of the World Trade Center. Chertoff's father is a man by the name of Gershon Baruch Chertoff, who happens to be a Talmudic rabbi. Michael Chertoff's uncle Mordecai is also a rabbi. Michael's grandfather was a very well-known teacher of the Talmud in New York City. Chertoff's sister was the head of Hadassah, the women's branch of the Zionist Organization of America. She went to a Hebrew university before Israel was even a state. The Chertoff family was one of the founding families of the State of Israel. Michael Chertoff's aunt works with the Zionist movement in London, Chicago, and New York City. Chertoff's power over domestic security is enormous at this point. He is the head boss of departments like the TSA, or Transportation Security Administration, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, U.S. Immigration, U.S. Secret Service, FEMA, and the corresponding detention camps ran by FEMA, U.S. Coast Guard, federal law enforcement training centers, Domestic Nuclear Detection Office, National Cyber Security Center, to name a few. Chertoff has direct access to the Department of Justice and the FBI because he has many Jewish cohorts in strategic positions throughout these departments. It has been a guarded secret for quite some time that Michael Chertoff was the author of the Patriot Act, a bill edited by Viet Din that effectively nullifies the Constitution of the United States of America and the Bill of Rights. It was originally common knowledge that Ashcroft was the author of the so-called Patriot Act, but it was Chertoff who engineered this traitorous bill. It should also be noted that Chertoff has direct access to every single police and sheriff department in the country because since the creation of the Department of Homeland Security, they have appointed people in every police department to have a liaison for the DHS. This dual citizen of Israel, with obvious loyalties not to the United States, will be in direct control of events as they happen if martial law is ever declared on Americans.
So we're still doing the same work that we always did, but we're doing it from the private side. But I'm delighted to have in my company, as my partners, Mike Hayden, the former director of the CIA, Paul Schneider, who a lot of you will know as my former deputy and former head of acquisition at the Navy and at NSA, Charlie Allen, who's legendary in the intelligence community, Jay Cohn, who ran our technology program as well as the Navy's program, and about half a dozen other very, very highly skilled people with deep background in intelligence, defense, and homeland security. So we're still doing the same work that we always did, but we're doing it from the private side.